Paragraph 1. Structure of the human throat and its central biological importance. The human throat is a remarkably complex and multifaceted anatomical region that appears, on the surface, to be a simple passageway, yet it performs an extraordinary set of biological functions vital for survival. Scientifically, the throat is primarily composed of the pharynx and the larynx, two interconnected structures that serve as gateways for breathing, swallowing, vocalization, and immunological defense. The pharynx is divided into three major sections: nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx, each playing an essential role in regulating airflow, food passage, and protective reflexes. The larynx, often referred to as the voice box, is not only responsible for sound production but also functions as the primary valve that separates the respiratory and digestive tracts. The throat is densely packed with muscles, connective tissues, mucosal membranes, lymphatic organs, and sensory receptors, all of which function in tight coordination. Among these structures, the tonsils and adenoids act as initial defensive barriers of the immune system, intercepting bacteria, viruses, allergens, and other pathogens entering through the mouth and nose. Mucous membranes lining the throat play an essential role in filtering, humidifying, and warming incoming air, thereby protecting the delicate tissues of the lower respiratory tract. Scientific studies have demonstrated that even minor structural or functional disturbances in the throat can lead to major disruptions in breathing, swallowing, speech, or immunity. Thus, the throat is not merely a passage but a highly specialized biological hub essential for sustaining life. Paragraph 2. Role of the throat in respiration and the scientific mechanisms of airflow control. Within the respiratory system, the throat serves as the primary gateway through which air passes from the external environment to the lungs. Air entering through the nose or mouth travels through the pharynx and then into the larynx before reaching the trachea. One of the most crucial components of this pathway is the epiglottis, a leaf-shaped cartilage flap that automatically adjusts its position depending on whether we are breathing or swallowing. When inhaling, the epiglottis remains open to allow the free passage of air. During swallowing, however, it folds downward to seal the entrance of the trachea, thereby preventing food or liquid from entering the respiratory tract. This seemingly simple movement is one of the most sophisticated protective mechanisms in human anatomy. The larynx itself contains robust cartilaginous rings that maintain an open airway at all times, ensuring that oxygen can flow without obstruction. Additionally, microscopic hair-like structures known as cilia, along with mucus in the throat, filter dust particles, pathogens, and harmful irritants, which helps maintain lung health. The brainstem, particularly the medulla oblongata and pons, continuously regulates the rhythm, depth, and pattern of breathing, relying heavily on sensory feedback from receptors in the throat and respiratory passages. These receptors detect changes in airflow, pressure, and potential threats such as foreign objects. In response, reflexes like coughing, gagging, and sneezing are triggered to prevent airway blockage. Modern scientific research underscores that respiration is not solely a function of the lungs, rather, it is the throat's structural and neurological integrity that safeguards and optimizes the process of breathing. Paragraph 3. Function of the throat in swallowing and the complex biomechanics of digestion initiation. The second major function of the throat is its role in swallowing, a process that marks the beginning of digestion. Known scientifically as deglutition, swallowing is a highly coordinated action involving more than 25 different muscles and numerous cranial nerves working in perfect synchronization. Food prepared in the mouth is converted into a soft, moist mass called a bolus, which the tongue propels toward the oropharynx. Once the bolus reaches this region, sensory receptors activate an involuntary swallowing reflex controlled by the brainstem. This reflex sets off a chain of rapid and precisely timed muscular contractions. During this process, the epiglottis closes the airway entrance to prevent aspiration, while the laryngopharynx directs the bolus toward the esophagus. The esophagus then moves the food downward through peristalsis, a wave-like muscular motion that ensures the bolus travels safely to the stomach. Even slight disruptions in this process, due to muscular weakness, nerve damage, inflammation, or structural abnormalities, can lead to difficulty swallowing, dysphagia, choking, aspiration pneumonia, or other complications. From a scientific perspective, the throat acts not only as a conduit for food but also as a sophisticated sensory and protective organ. It can immediately detect the presence of inappropriate or harmful substances, triggering reflexes such as coughing, gagging, or stopping the swallowing process altogether. This demonstrates that the throat's contribution to digestion is not merely mechanical but deeply integrated with the nervous and immune systems to ensure safety and efficiency. Paragraph 4. Role of the throat in voice production and its neurological and physiological significance. Beyond respiration and swallowing, the throat, particularly the larynx, plays a central role in phonation, the process of producing sound. The vocal cords, or vocal folds, located within the larynx, are delicate, multilayered muscular bands that vibrate when air is expelled from the lungs. These vibrations generate sound waves, which are then modified by the throat, mouth, nasal cavities, and tongue to produce speech. The quality, pitch, and loudness of the voice depend on the tension, thickness, elasticity, and spacing of the vocal cords. The vagus nerve, specifically its recurrent laryngeal branch, controls the movement of these vocal folds and regulates the coordination necessary for articulate speech. The throat also plays an important role in generating internal pressure during activities such as lifting heavy objects, childbirth, or forceful exertion. This is accomplished through a temporary closure of the vocal cords, which stabilizes the core by increasing intrathoracic and intra-abdominal pressure. Research further shows that the throat has a significant connection to emotional expression. Changes in neural activity from regions like the amygdala and limbic system influence tone, tremor, and resonance, revealing emotions such as fear, happiness, anger, or calmness through the voice. Diseases affecting the throat, such as laryngitis, pharyngitis, tonsillitis, vocal cord paralysis, or chronic irritation, can impair breathing, swallowing, communication, and quality of life. Thus, the throat is not just an anatomical structure but an essential biological, neurological, and communicative organ that profoundly influences human survival, interaction, and identity.